Hello to you and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us as we take you around San Diego. I'm News 8's Jenny Day, and I'll get you caught up on our top stories of the week, and we'll also look ahead at what's to come around San Diego. We begin with an update on a story we've been following. We have learned the names of the two people killed in a deadly house fire there in San Marcos. 73-year-old Michael Austin and his wife, 72-year-old Catherine Austin, died Saturday after their home on Lay Spark Street went up in flames. Deputies arrested 33-year-old Luis Alvarado on suspicion of murder and arson. We are told Alvarado had been staying at the home. Neighbors tell us the Austins were well loved and that there had been concerns about Alvarado before that fire. We also now know the names of the two people who were killed when a suspected DUI driver allegedly knocked their SUV off the freeway interchange and then into the Sweetwater River there below in the South Bay. Authorities say they are a married couple from Chula Vista, 60-year-old Ignacio Pedroza and 53-year-old Monica Silvia Pedroza. The CHP says early Sunday morning a Volkswagen rear-ended their Jeep at the connector between the 5 South and 54 West. There at the highest point of the overpass and then pushed that Jeep over the edge. Officers arrested the driver on suspicion of DUI. He is now facing murder charges. And a decades-old San Diego cold case murder has been revived after authorities say new DNA evidence was uncovered. 50-year-old Jeffrey Brandenburg pleaded not guilty to the 1994 fatal stabbing in Pacific Beach. He was homeless and living in Northern California when San Diego police detectives arrested him on Friday. Investigators say genealogy technology is what linked Brandenburg to the stabbing death of that man at Tourmaline Beach nearly 30 years ago. They were apparently strangers who got into some altercation. A judge released him actually, but under strict conditions. Those include being banned from possessing a weapon and wearing a GPS monitor. His preliminary hearing will be in July. Also, a Camp Pendleton Marine is now in federal custody, accused of stealing weapons from the base and selling them. Court documents say Andrew Amarias worked as an ammunition technician and allegedly took Javelin missile systems and military-grade ammo, then took them to Arizona to sell. Investigators recovered at least one weapon, but they are still working to learn the full extent of how much may have been stolen. He has pleaded not guilty.
Right uphill. We forgot how beautiful it is to look down on Earth.
History, y'all. Right now, NASA's Artemis II mission is in orbit after it launched from Florida's Kennedy Space Center. The mission will bring astronauts to the dark side of the moon and will end with a splashdown off the coast of San Diego late next week. It's part of a long-term plan to send astronauts back to the surface of the moon in 2028 and then to eventually bring humans to Mars and even deeper into space. News 8's Steffi Roche was at Balboa Park where observers gathered and has their reaction.
People are excited. I mean, this is the first lunar venture in more than 50 years, and San Diego is going to be playing a big role in this mission.
3, 2, 1, booster ignition.
And they're off. A historic moment anyone would feel over the moon to see, including Raleigh, North Carolina resident Dolores Johnson.
I think it's marvelous that the United States is reawakening its curiosity because we so need it. I mean, you have to use science to advance the culture, right?
Well, we couldn't be in Cape Canaveral for the heart of the action today. We did go to the one place in San Diego that always celebrates space exploration.
That's the San Diego Air and Space Museum, where attendees were excited about what this mission means for inspiring the next generation of astronauts.
For many decades, we didn't have a lot of people going to the moon or thinking about Mars actively. Now that we have this sort of excitement, kids can get excited about it.
This brings back the wonder of the space program.
That's David Neville, the museum's communications director. We discussed how this mission could travel farther from Earth than any human ever has, breaking the Apollo program's distance record. Fittingly, we met in front of the Apollo 9 command module.
There's a bunch of great stuff to see.
It might be another small step for man, But it's going to be one giant moment for San Diego.
San Diego becomes front and center with the splashdown of all the Artemis missions moving forward, including if this one goes according to plan, and they do go all the way to the moon, and it's a full 10-day mission that they'll splash down off of our coast. And teams, specially trained teams from the Navy and from NASA will go out and collect the spacecraft and bring it back here to San Diego.
Neville says the museum has plans to celebrate the splashdown by hosting a watch party featuring hands-on activities for kids.
This gives us an opportunity to celebrate not only San Diego's ties to the space program, but to celebrate just the entire Artemis program.
And Artemis II will be deemed a victory after the astronauts splashed down here in San Diego after their 10-day mission. For now, reporting from Balboa Park, I'm Steffi Roche, News 8.
Yeah, we'll see it back here next week. Steffi, thanks. Well, this week, about 13,000 San Diegans started losing access to food benefits as new federal rules take effect. This includes many legal immigrants, including asylum seekers and refugees, who will no longer be eligible for CalFresh, the state's version of SNAP, or the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Many food banks are now bracing for an increase in demand. Well, now to a warning for people heading to the trails at Balboa Park. The details are disturbing. There are multiple reports of men exposing themselves. One woman tells us she was alone on the Cabrillo Trail near the Marston house when she came across two different men doing this. She called 911 and later posted about the incident on social media and says others then shared similar stories. Here's her advice.
Never wear two AirPods, never wear noise-canceling headphones. Always be aware of your surroundings and just be ready for anything, really. So.
Yeah, police confirmed calls for indecent exposure in the area on March 14th and then again on the 22nd. No arrests have yet been made. And we now know there were record crowds at last weekend's No Kings protests around San Diego County. Police estimate about 40,000 people showed up to the largest event at Waterfront Park. No arrests made, all peaceful. Organizers say 94,000 people turned out across 21 separate rallies, surpassing last October's numbers. 14,000 people participated in Carlsbad, 6,000 in Rancho Bernardo, and 3,000 in Escondido. Coming up, a veteran San Diego police officer is suing the city, alleging retaliation by his superiors. What the lawsuit says and how the city is responding. Plus, tension spilled into the stands during a Padres game. Fans recorded this video that shows this fight quickly breaking out. What we know now. Keep it here. Thanks for staying with us as we continue to take you around San Diego. Well, a veteran San Diego police officer is now suing the city, claiming he was the target of retaliation and harassment by his superiors. Officer Tyler Cockrell alleges that the police department instead protected his ex-wife, who also serves on the force. He claims in this lawsuit that he was consistently passed over for promotions despite positive performance evaluations. Instead, he says he was retaliated against by his superiors after he tried to report alleged misconduct by his ex-wife following their contentious divorce. The lawsuit claims that his ex-wife had a, quote, inappropriate relationship with current police chief Scott Wall when he was assistant chief.
I was denied promotion and specifically told it's because of the stuff she's been doing. He
was abandoned, he was dismissed, and that's just not what you do to somebody who has served for as long as he has served.
Yeah, the San Diego Police Department did not respond to our request for comment. The city attorney did, saying they cannot comment on pending litigation. Well, right now, crews in Santee remain on high alert after that brush fire along a riverbed threatened businesses. While firefighters got a quick handle on it, they do continue to monitor any hotspots that could flare up. Still no word on that cause. The city of Santee is set to receive a $7 million grant from FEMA to clear out brush and other fire hazards along the San Diego River corridor. The project is currently in its environmental review phase. And hey, you got to see this. A company here in Southern California says it has a new way to protect our homes from wildfires. The new tool does not use a drop of water. Sonic Fire Tech is using sound waves to put out flames. Sensors detect embers within seconds and trigger the system faster than a traditional sprinkler.
For a fire to burn, you need three things. You need fuel, you need heat, and you need oxygen. All we're doing is vibrating the oxygen faster than the fuel can use it, so we break the chemical reaction.
So interesting. So yeah, the system also works when water and power are out, a critical advantage during major wildfires. The company has not yet launched in San Diego, but says that our market is on their radar. Well, this Tuesday was the first ever Farm Workers Day in California. The holiday was changed from Cesar Chavez Day after allegations of sexual abuse against the late civil rights leader. Cities and schools across San Diego are now distancing themselves from his name. At Cal State San Marcos, a statue of Chavez was removed, and Southwestern College canceled its annual Cesar Chavez breakfast. Still, some hope that the principles of his movement will remain.
Any movement is much larger than any particular leader, icon, symbol, representative, and so on and so forth.
At Chicano Park, a mural dedicated to Cesar Chavez was unveiled in 2015, but someone has now since covered up his face. Come on, Pods, we can do better. We are getting a look now at video showing this brawl at the Padres game. It appears to have started with two people before then others joined in, and at one point they slammed into other fans in the stands. Police tell us two people were arrested, cited, and released and expelled from the game. The Padres say they have a zero-tolerance policy for behavior that disrupts the game day experience, of course. Well, right now, hundreds of seabirds are washing up on beaches across Southern California. Some of the images you're about to see, they are disturbing. Scientists say the birds are starving to death, all due to warm ocean water. It's pushing bait fish too deep for birds to reach underwater. 3 species are being hit hardest. My favorite, the pelican, common murres, and then Brandt's cormorants.
Consistent with birds like pelicans that can only dive. Even the most athletic adult pelican can only dive about 6 feet deep. So if the food is deeper than that, you have a problem.
Yeah, they're just amazing. Last year was a strong breeding season, so many of the ill and dying birds are sadly young. And yeah, if your allergies are unusually bad lately, you're not alone. The Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America says San Diego is the second worst city in the country for seasonal allergies. It's a dramatic jump from 97th place last year, and there's a good reason for it. San Diego ranked so high in part because tree pollen is peaking earlier and weed pollen is peaking higher, and both are having longer seasons. Experts say climate change is pushing allergy season even earlier.
This past winter, we had quite a bit of rain, especially towards the earlier few days in January. And then right after that, we had sort of a spike in temperature. And that sets up a really perfect scenario to where you get much more pollen counts.
The foundation also looked at allergy medication sales and the number of board-certified allergists in each city. All right, still ahead, a new state law aims to help veterans protect their benefits from scammers. We'll break it all down. Well, it may not feel like it in traffic, but right now San Diego's population is down. That's according to new census data. Our county's population was 3,282,248 people in 2025. That is a drop of nearly 5,300 from the year before. According to the data, metro areas near the border in El Centro, Yuma, and Laredo, Texas, had the steepest declines in population growth rates. The report says these changes are largely due to lower levels of net international migration. Interesting. And veterans who file disability claims with the VA can face a long and difficult road. But right now, we are working for you to make sure that you are aware that some people are trying to profit off of that frustration. So-called claim sharks are charging veterans thousands to file claims, even though free and accredited help is available. These companies market themselves as Veterans Affairs claims consultants and often use information that's available online for free, then charge vets a fee or a cut of their back pay.
I was doing all of this stuff on my own and helping veterans with their stuff, and it was always free to them. So it always just confused me why they were charging a fee for something.
Yeah, no bueno. A new state law aims to stop these practices. The Veteran Benefits Protection Act will take effect in January and aims to ban unauthorized fees.
What if adopting a pet came with a quick background check? A new California Assembly bill, AB 2344, would create a public online registry of convicted animal abusers. Now, this would be similar to sex offender databases aimed at keeping pets out of dangerous hands. Now, this proposed system would list felony offenders' names, their photographs, and their convictions, requiring them to register for 10 years. Supporters of the bill say it would give shelters and even everyday pet owners a fast way to screen adopters and prevent potential abuse before it happens. If passed, the registry could launch here in California by 2028.
Richard Allen there. And still ahead, it is not surprising to find sunscreen in our water, but things like medication also found. Details on the latest research discovered right off the Scripps Pier in this Earth 8 report. Welcome back. You are likely aware there are human-made chemicals in the ocean, but the types of chemicals might surprise you. In this Earth 8 report, News 8's Neda Iranpour talks to a local researcher who is part of the team keeping track of what ends up in the water.
The Scripps Pier is iconic for many reasons, not just that it overlooks this incredible view, but if you look closer, you'll notice all kinds of research equipment, vital in discovering what's really going on with our environment. And sometimes those discoveries can be made with something as simple as a bucket. What's in the bucket is helping give us a better idea of the impact humans have on the ocean. And as scientists collect water from around the world, they're finding out from more than 2,300 samples that human-made chemicals are widespread. Using data from San Diego to South Africa, Puerto Rico, and Moorea, coastlines, estuaries, and the open ocean, they've been able to compile the most comprehensive chemical meta-analysis of the oceans.
So many people have been going out there and doing work and making sure that these data sets are public.
To help make sense of it all, we turn to Lahini Aluwihare, a professor of marine chemistry at UC San Diego's Scripps Institution of Oceanography.
Took a small boat off the pier and went and took a bunch of samples from Penasquitos Lagoon down to Mission Bay.
Scientists around the world did the same, led by researchers at UC Riverside with help from Aluwihare and many, many others. They have a lot more information now to compare chemicals. And what they found may not be what we want to hear. About 250 different types of human-made chemicals were discovered, with the most common being industrial chemicals, plasticizers, sunscreen, and probably most surprising, pharmaceuticals. Yes, antidepressants, birth control, heart medication, medicine you or someone you know probably take. They don't just disappear after consumption. These things end up in the sewage and work their way into the ocean.
Everything goes down your sewer system, right? You wash your face, you take a shower, you use the bathroom. Everything goes into your sewer system, and we have to remember that that has to go somewhere.
The most human-made compounds were found near the coast, including estuaries, but the open ocean still had industrial chemicals like DDT. That was a pesticide used more than 6 decades ago that's still leaving its mark. They still need to figure out how things like pharmaceuticals and plasticizers, these small bits of broken down plastic, might impact the ecosystem, but this study is proof that the human footprint is prevalent.
It is important to think about your actions. It is possible, for many of us, it is possible to change our lifestyle, to be more thoughtful about the impact that we're having on an environment that never has no choice in the matter, right? The animals that live there, they don't have a say.
As research goes on, it could lead to better management around our sewage and regulation of certain products, because Allergies is quick to point out the burden shouldn't always have to fall on us.
It's not always financially possible, right? And so that it shouldn't really always fall on the consumer to make those decisions, right?
And the first step to helping clean our waters is knowing what's in there. For Earth 8 in La Jolla, Neda Iranpour.
Always good info. Thank you, Ned. All right, well, right now we are getting a look at spring's first full moon. I hope you caught a glimpse. These are photos sent by our viewers from Wednesday night. It's called the pink moon. However, the moon doesn't actually look pink. The name pays tribute to the early spring bloom of a wildflower called moss pink. You can always text us pictures to 858-571-8888. It's so wild to think we've got astronauts just buzzing around it right now. We'll see what happens. Again, making a splashdown in San Diego next week. Always sincerely appreciate your time. That will do it for us. Take care. Thank you for staying informed. Happy Passover. Happy Easter. For News 8, I'm Jenny Day. Take such good care.